Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. Testing 21 comments. Share save hide report 95% upvoted. End of story. Next story. I just knew I remember the first day of middle school. I had just changed schools and was too early on my first day. There was this girl in the classroom, fuming at something or someone. I saw her from the window, and as soon as I entered the classroom she glared at me, as if I was responsible for all the bad in the world. She didn't scare me, but that is how I met the first crush of my life. As far as I can remember. A week into school and the teacher assigned my seat next to hers. What a cruel punishment. I didn't know how I felt then. But I remember it is the warm feeling you get when it's a cold night and you just tucked yourself into bed and everything is perfect. Curiously, the first time she ever talked to me was the next day maybe. Her first question to me was, "Do you have a GF?" And me being the most clueless and innocent child ever, didn't know what she meant by that. So she started asking me again and again the name of my GF. Now this might sound weird IDK, but English wasn't our first language, so she wrote it in my notebooks and asked me, whispering in my ear during classes. The teacher did look at us funny, but I was too absorbed to notice. I started calling her a queen, not romantically. More like she does what she pleases kind of. This went on for a few days and she bugged me more and more about it every day, during P and morning prayer. Funny thing, I was not irritated by it. Then went by a month and it was the last day before summer vacations. We were just leaving the school and I passed a paper to her and whispered, "Here's your answer," and ran. The paper had her name on it. Blank. _ blank. End of part 1. I'm new to writing and read it. Constructive criticism is appreciated. Part 2. End of story. Next story. My pastor got put in Facebook jail again. So my pastor is doing his thing, complaining about people complaining on Facebook when a black guy says something about how white's this and white's that. Now keep in mind that pastor is married to a Mexican girl and has several Mexican sons and daughters. I find this next part funny. He copied and pasted what that guy said, only changing the words that said white to black and puts quotations next to is saying that this is what it would sound like if this was on the other side. And then he gets put in again what he calls Facebook jail for racism. TL. My pastor gets put into Facebook jail for showing someone what his post would look like if he changed the word white to black. End of story. Next story. This is the story all about how my life got flipped and turned upside down. I'm an only child from West Philadelphia, and I liked to spend most of my time at the playground or playing basketball at the park near my house. The only problem is that I used to live in quite a rough neighborhood and got into a few fights when I was younger. Because of this, my mum decided to send me to live with my aunt and uncle on the other side of the country in this place called Bel Air. I spent a few days begging and pleading not to send me away, but one day I woke up to my bags packed, my Walkman charged and my ticket waiting. She managed to get me a first-class ticket on the plane, and which served this really nice orange juice in their champagne glasses. But I wasn't the most prissy kid and all that. When I got off of the plane, there was this dude who looked like a cop waiting for me, holding this little sign saying my name. I wasn't waiting around for him, so raced away as quickly as possible and called a cab to take me to my aunt and uncle's house. The cabbie had a custom license plate and some dice on the mirror, and that cab smelled rare. But I didn't even care and just said to take me to Bel Air. It was about 7 or 8 when we pulled up to the front of the house and I paid the guy and said I'd probably see him later. Finally I was there. My new home in Bel Air. End of story. Next story. My mom gets fired for stealing. But the person who accused her was the real thief. This is a story that my mom told me and I thought it was so funny that I decided to share it with you guys. It takes place when my mom was in college and she was working part-time at a jewelry store. She was a good employee and had been working there for 4 months. She was always on time, good at her job, and was extremely honest. One day she is informed by her shift manager that money was missing from the cash register and he asks if she knows where it went. My mom says if she knew anything she would tell him and the conversation ends there. Over the next few days money keeps disappearing from the register and it becomes clear to everyone that there is a thief. And it had to be an employee because the cash register needed a key that only the workers had to open it. The manager starts limiting the people who could have the key to the register in hopes of finding the thief quicker. The only people who had it were the manager, shift manager, my mom, because the manager trusted her so much, and a few other people. Money still kept vanishing. So the manager narrowed down to the people he gave a key to. The money always disappeared after the shift that my mom and shift manager worked. So the top 2 suspects were them. Shift manager told manager that he had seen my mom steal money and smuggle it in her purse earlier that day. My mom denied this and told him to search her purse if they didn't believe her. The manager couldn't find the stolen money in her purse, but he claimed that she must have hidden it elsewhere because she knew they would search her purse. After that he fired her. My mom was in such disbelief that she started crying. She is the most honest person I've ever met and she wouldn't lie to save her life. She thought that the manager trusted her and knew that she was an honest person. But it turns out he was willing to believe anything. My mom knew that the shift manager was the real thief. But she had no evidence that could prove this. A few weeks later, my mom found a new job at another jewelry store. It didn't pay as much as the other one, but it was better than nothing. About a month later, she gets a call from her old manager begging her to come back. I'm so sorry that I thought you were the thief. When you left the money kept getting stolen, so we know it couldn't have been you. I realize now that shift manager set you up and he's the real thief. Please come back to work for us. I'll give you shift manager's position and a raise. He told her. My mom was happy that he finally came to his senses and saw that she wasn't the thief. The offer to go back and work at the other store was flattering. But she declined it. I appreciate the offer, but I won't work for a company that can't even believe me when I say I'm not lying. Besides, I found another job already. She told the manager. My mom is pretty sure that shift manager got arrested for all the money he stole, which served him right. She eventually left her job at the other jewelry store and now she's a nurse practitioner. My mom has told me many other stories about the jobs she used to work at, and let me know if you want me to write about those as well. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.